Welcome to EduCasts, home of EduCasters. Adolescence, the search for self, high school. Welcome to the teenage years. Hormones are raging, bodies are changing, and the brain is under major construction. Enter stage 5. Identity versus role confusion, 12 to 18 years. If you've ever wondered why high schoolers are so obsessed with cliques, fashion trends, and seemingly bizarre subcultures, blame Erikson. The central question of this stage is, who am I and where do I fit in? Adolescents are trying to integrate all the different versions of themselves, the son, daughter, the student, the friend, the athlete, into one cohesive identity. It's exhausting. Erikson coined the term identity crisis for a reason. If they can't figure it out, they suffer from role confusion. They might flip-flop between identities, trying on a goth persona one month and a preppy one the next, or worse. They might just conform blindly to whatever their peers are doing because it's safer than standing out. Erikson argued that teenagers need a psychosocial moratorium, a timeout period where they are free to experiment with different roles without having to commit to them forever. Schools should be safe harbors for this exploration. Electives, clubs, sports, and arts programs aren't just extras. They are identity laboratories. The teacher's role shifts here. You aren't just the deliverer of content. You are a mentor and a sounding board. Teenagers have a finely tuned radar for phoniness. If you try to be their buddy, they'll eat you alive. If you are a totalitarian dictator, they will rebel just to prove they exist. The sweet spot is being an authoritative figure who listens. You need to provide guardrails, but let them drive the car. When a student challenges your authority or questions the curriculum, it's easy to take it personally. But often, they are just flexing their newfound intellectual muscles. They are testing boundaries to see where they stand. An expert educator doesn't shut this down. They lean into it. That's an interesting perspective. Tell me more about why you think that. By validating their voice, you help them build the virtue of fidelity, the ability to be true to oneself and one's values, even when it's hard. Higher education, emerging adulthood, college, and university. For a long time, people thought development stopped at 18, but we know better now. The college years and early career years are a distinct phase, often called emerging adulthood. Intimacy versus isolation, 18 to 40 years. As students enter university, the focus shifts from who am I to who am I with. This stage is about forming deep, meaningful relationships. We often think of this as just romantic love, but for college students, it's equally about deep friendship and professional mentorship. Many college freshmen experience a profound sense of isolation. They've left their high school support networks behind and are floating in a sea of strangers. This can lead to depression and dropout rates that are through the roof. Student affairs professionals and university faculty play a huge role here. First-year experience programs, dorm interactions, and small seminar classes are designed to bridge the gap between isolation and connection. Advisors aren't just there to sign off on course schedules. They are there to help students connect their internal identity with their external path. Furthermore, we see the tail end of the identity stage playing out in college. Students are often changing majors, not because they are indecisive, but because they are refining their self-concept. A student might start in pre-med because their parents wanted them to, role confusion for closure, but then take a sociology class that lights a fire in them, leading them to switch tracks. This isn't a failure. It's development in action. Critique and modern adaptation. Keeping it real now. We have to take a step back and look at this theory with a critical eye. We can't just swallow Erikson whole without checking the ingredients. While his framework is brilliant, it is also a product of its time, mid-20th century America, and its author, a white Western male. The cultural blind spot. Erikson's theory is heavily steeped in Western individualism. The goal of autonomy and identity assumes that the ultimate destination of human development is to stand on your own 2 feet, independent of the tribe. But in many collectivist cultures, including many Asian, African, and Latin American communities, The goal isn't me, it's we. In these cultures, a child who asserts too much autonomy might be seen as disrespectful, not successfully developed. A teenager who prioritizes their individual identity over their family's needs might be seen as selfish. Educators working with diverse populations need to be careful not to pathologize students who are following a different cultural script. We shouldn't force a square peg into a round hole. Instead of just pushing for independence, we should also value interdependence. The gender gap critics, including feminist scholars like Carol Gilligan, have pointed out that Erikson's stages were largely based on male development. The focus on achievement, industry, and separate identity often overlooks the way women, and many men, develop through relationships. For many, intimacy isn't a stage that happens after identity, it's a process that happens alongside it. We find out who we are by interacting with others. Modern educators need to recognize that social connection isn't a distraction from learning. It's a vehicle for it. The digital self. Erikson could never have predicted the internet. Today's students are navigating identity versus role confusion in a hall of mirrors. Social media has put social comparison on steroids. In the past, you only compared yourself to the kids in your class. Now, you compare yourself to influencers, photoshopped models, and curated highlight reels from around the globe. This has made the identity stage much more fraught with anxiety. The audience for a teenager's performance of self is now potentially the whole world. Educators have to help students navigate this digital landscape, teaching them digital citizenship not just as a set of rules, but as a component of their identity. We have to help them separate their brand from their true self. Fluidity versus rigidity. Finally, life isn't a ladder. It's more like a jungle gym. Erikson's stages can seem a bit too rigid, implying that if you don't solve the crisis of trust by age 1, you're broken forever. Modern psychology tells us the brain is plastic. We are constantly rewriting our stories. A student who had a terrible, mistrustful childhood can, with the help of a mentoring teacher, learn to trust at age 16. A 40-year-old can go back to school and rework their sense of industry. As educators, we must always hold space for redemption and growth. It's never too late to have a happy childhood, so to speak. At the end of the day, Erikson's psychosocial development theory serves as a powerful reminder that we teach students, not subjects. We can have the most cutting-edge curriculum and the fanciest technology, but if we ignore the psychosocial reality of the child, if we ignore their need for trust, their hunger for competence, and their desperate search for identity, we are barking up the wrong tree. Applying this theory means looking beyond the behavior to the need underneath. It means seeing the lazy student as discouraged inferiority, the defiant toddler as practicing independence, autonomy, and the rebellious teen as seeking self, identity. It invites us to be more patient, more empathetic, and more intentional. We are the gatekeepers of these developmental stages. We have the power to create classrooms that are identity-safe spaces, where students can take risks without fear of shame, where they can fail without feeling inferior, and where they can discover not just what they are good at, but who they are. That is a heavy responsibility, but it is also a privilege. By helping our students build a sturdy psychosocial foundation, we aren't just helping them pass a test. We are helping them pass at life. And really, isn't that the whole point?